two-time champions, back-to-back in 1990 and 91, and of course again in 1995 where they triumphed over the North Melbourne Giants. Adrian Hurley as a coach in Perth has done exceptionally well. His record speaks for itself. He also spent time with Australia at Olympic Games as well, and we'll hear from him at halftime. And the furnace really is rocking for this match. As you might expect, their players are being introduced to the crowd as we speak. And Steve, Townsville have lost their last 5 games coming into this match, which isn't the form you'd like to be bringing in. But 4 of those 5 games have only been by 6 points or less. And Perth, while they did win against North Melbourne, weren't that impressive on Wednesday night.
I think that's what the Townsville Suns have to keep in mind. I think that they have played good basketball. Even though they've lost some tight ones, they just have to consider that Perth hasn't played that well. They've been playing well, and it comes down to this one game. And if they win this basketball game, they have a shot at going to the playoffs. If they lose this basketball game, they don't go to the playoffs, and that's all that should be on their mind. They shouldn't be thinking anything about those losses that they've got, just the fact that they've been playing well enough to be in a position to win. And if they can do that and get a couple of breaks in this basketball game, especially in front of their home crowd where they've never had an empty seat, this is the environment to pull off a win like that, and that's what they have to concentrate on tonight.
Rebounding is going to go a long way to deciding this game. Of course, when they met here 2 months ago, Townsville got home by 12, but were out-rebounded 48-37 by Perth, and that was with Clarence Tyson, who was individually the biggest rebounder in the game. I just wonder about how they're going to get over this big front line that Perth enjoy with David Van Dyke, Crawford, Vlahoff, Gavin Vanderputten off the bench. Yes, the entire community behind the Townsville Suns, not only this week, but right throughout the season, hoping that they can make it to the postseason action. Of course, it will depend on other results. Tomorrow night around the league, this is the only match being played on Friday night in the NBL. And against the Perth Wildcats, Steve, well, the Suns have only won once in 10 starts, and that of course was their last meeting. So they have the monkey off their back, so to speak. And given the fact that everything was travelling smoothly until Clarence Tyson was injured, I must admit I would like to see them make the finals, and that means winning this game.
Well, I'd like to see them make the finals too. I mean, they've done everything they can possibly have done to be in this position to be into the playoffs if they win this basketball game, and they have really done an excellent job this year regardless of whether they win this game or not. And that is the starting lineup that the Townsville Suns hope to create history with tonight. Derek Rucker, of course, one of the best, if not the best point guard in the league. Simon Curl, the man will be sporting the great haircut tonight. Jason Cameron, excellent year this year. Tony D'Ambrosis, the man's name so long, they have to make it smaller. And then Chris Sneed getting the start tonight.
And for the Wildcats, a 3-guard rotation. Grace Stewart Lichty, Vlahoff and David Van Dyke will play at centre. Now, referees for the match, Roger Shields, Scott Butler, Mike Reese. And Roger Shields will get us underway. Van Dyke, wins the tip for the Perth Wildcats. They will get the opening possession here. Van Dyke, first shot, couldn't get it to go. Cameron had it. It spills over and will turn the ball over.
And you can get a look at the desperation of the Townsville Suns on that first play. Chris Sneed getting on the ground for that loose ball, very first play of the game.
Chris Sneed works the ball to the advantage of Cameron. Curl with that amazing hairstyle that Derek Rucker had a little input into as well. Now the Wildcats off and running. Stewart past Curl. Confronted by Rucker with a height advantage. He takes him on, can't get it to go. Sneed comes up with an important rebound for the Townsville Suns. This is D'Ambrosis working against Vlahoff. He fires the ball to Cameron. He pulls the trigger. Big piece of the iron. Couldn't get it to go. Now Grace relieves some pressure for Perth. To Stewart. Turns the three-point attempt down and goes to Grace at the top of the key. This is Lichty waving Stewart around. He works to the baseline. Lichty moves the ball to the top of the key with Van Dyke. Onward to Grace. Shot clock down to 10 seconds. Stewart pulls the trigger. Yes, he drains it. First points in the match to the Perth Wildcats.
Well, Anthony Stewart hitting the long bomb, but Townsville doing a good job at their interior defense, not letting them get anything too close.
This is D'Ambrosis working the baseline. Couldn't get it to go, was short on the iron. Stewart off to Grace, who was spectacular penetrating against North Melbourne on Wednesday night. He had 17 points in the final term to set up that win. And there's Vlahoff putting on the finishing touches.
On an excellent feed, even though it was a very good catch by Vlahoff, but Ricky Grace drawing the D, knowing that he had Vlahoff for the finish.
Derek Rucker goes hard to the hoop, pushes Anthony Stewart out of the way and gets Townsville on the scoreboard here after 2 minutes of the opening quarter. Van Dyke off to Grace, guarded very closely by Cameron. Inside Vlahoff, spinning on D'Ambrosis and drawing a foul. Continuation waved away, spectacular as it was from Van Dyke. Vlahoff will go to the stripe. First foul in the match to Tony D'Ambrosis.
And that was set up by an excellent back screen by Andrew Vlahoff, which forced the switch, and then he had a smaller person on his back, and they deliver the pass to him.
Wildcats have had their problems from the stripe this year. They're shooting the ball at 71%, which is 10th in the league. Second to bottom. Vlahoff gets a user-friendly roll. And the lead back to 4. Sneed releases Cameron, confronted by Ricky Grace. He moves the ball to D'Ambrosis, looking in the vicinity of Rucker. Vlahoff with a hand in there as well. Now Cameron waves Curl away, wants to go to work on Grace. D'Ambrosis had a good seal on Vlahoff, takes Van Dyke on as well and comes up with an excellent 2.
And that should be an interesting matchup. Tony D'Ambrosis, a very underrated player down there, makes an excellent defensive play. Getting physical with Andrew Vlahoff. And Vlahoff making a point to Tony D'Ambrosis. Now Derek Rucker and Anthony Stewart having a few words.
Well, Van Dyke and Lichty getting involved as well. No surprise to see this game with a little bit of feeling in it, particularly with Townsville having a lot to play for, and certainly Derek Rucker and Anthony Stewart are two of the least players you might expect to be involved in a fracas, Steve.
Well, a lot of emotion going in this basketball game, and those two are the type of players that, even though they don't lose their temper very often, they will not back down from any kind of a physical challenge.
Simon Curl with that outrageous hairdo brings the ball forward. D'Ambrosis to Rucker, confronted by Grace. He pushes the ball. This is Cameron. Couldn't get it to go. D'Ambrosis has the offensive rebound. It's blocked by Van Dyke. Excellent play from David Van Dyke. Swats the shot away. At the other end, Lichty fires for 3. Couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke's got it again from close range. Worried out of the points. Ball spills out of court. And Townsville will come up with possession.
And that's a tough break for Perth, because That's a big offensive rebound that probably should go down. And a good break for Townsville.
Derek Rucker brings the Suns forward. Confronted by Stewart. He works down to the baseline. Van Dyke's worried him out of the points for the moment. He still goes, fires, short on the iron. Grace comes up with the rebound. Looking around for some support. Here's Anthony Stewart. Derek Rucker guards him very closely. Grace working on Cameron. Down to the baseline. Now Vlahoff. He spins against D'Ambrosis. The Lichty, quick hands. This is Grace. Shot clock down to 5. Wildcats need to find something. Stewart. Yes, he drains 2 and draws a foul. A chance at a three-point play from Anthony Stewart.
That's a big shot because Townsville did an excellent job at defending on that possession. With the shot clock winding down, Stewart hits a tough one. Good break for them. Now it's also important for Perth to keep a lead, not get too emotional, get into a running up and down game with Townsville because they want to keep the crowd out as much as possible.
We're looking for 3 sign switches over in the corner. 3 sign switches, maybe.
Well, Todd Lichty, the former NBA star, inbounds the ball. Stewart onwards. This is Grace. He penetrates. Van Dyke with Sneed all over him like a cheap suit. Couldn't get the shot to go from close range. D'Ambrosis comes up with the rebound. Has been efficient on the ball so far. Rucker finds Curl. Working against Lichty. Back to the point guard and skipper and Derek Rucker. Now Curl fires for 3. Yes, he drains it. Crowd rises 1. And the Townsville Suns close to within a single point after 4.5 minutes of the opening term. Lichty pushes Curl over, pulls up for the jump shot and buries it. Todd Lichty's first points in the match. Wildcats into double figures. This is Curl. No mistaking him tonight. That iridescent blue hair. Tony D'Ambrosis took an extra step there. Called for the travelling violation. First turnover in the match from Townsville.
I'm just laughing at Roger Shields having a look at Tony D'Ambrosis after he threw the basketball down. It was a pretty obvious travel, really. And Roger makes the call.
Grace inside. This is Vlahoff. Against D'Ambrosis. He works the ball to Lichty. Sneed worried him out of the points. Van Dyke wasn't awake to the pass, but Perth are going to get another opportunity as the ball spills out of court off Townsville. 9 seconds on the shot clock for the Perth Wildcats. This is Vlahoff. He fires 2 pieces of the iron without success. The ball spills out of court off Anthony Stewart. Townsville will inbound the ball.
And Townsville really need to get something going with their half-court game. They really haven't established anything yet. On the break, they've looked pretty good.
Rucker works to the foul line and drains 2 more. 1-point ball game. 3-point bomb from Todd Lichty was just what the Perth Wildcats ordered. Now a 4-point lead in favour of the Wildcats. Curl. Now Cameron. Down on the baseline. D'Ambrosis with Vlahoff at his back. He spins around, shows him the ball. Now goes to Sneed. Van Dyke's ripped it out of his hands and stolen the ball from Chris Sneed. Grace brings Perth forward. Vlahoff finds Stewart. He's open. He fires for 3. Yes. Oh, they are very dangerous from downtown at the moment, the Wildcats. 3 of 4 from beyond the perimeter. The lead is out to 7.
You really have to try and just contain Perth, especially early in the basketball game, because if you overplay and try to double team, they're experienced and smart enough and been in enough close games where they can find the open person for easy shots that they will not miss. But if you just try and contain them, they're a patient team, very unselfish, and they'll try and work the basketball around until you make a mistake. They're really like counterpunchers in boxing. If you just contain them, you can probably force them to shoot a low percentage shot with the shot clock winding down. But if you just overplay and try and make bad decisions and gamble, they'll really make you pay the price.
Chris Sneed there, receiving some instructions from Mark Bragg, who incidentally has just signed a new 3-year contract with the Townsville Suns. We'll hear from him at halftime. We'll also speak to this man, Adrian Hurley, the coach of the Perth Wildcats in his 5th season with Perth. And what a phenomenal record he has achieved already. Twice he has taken the Wildcats to the minor premiership. Also has taken them to 2 grand finals, including his rookie year with Perth. They won the minor premiership with a 21-5 record and then lost the grand final to the Melbourne Tigers. Made amends in 95, of course, by taking the flag. This is Derek Rucker. His team down by 7 points. Tick over 6 minutes played here. Opening quarter from the Furnace. It's a beautiful day in North Queensland today. The shot rims out, unfortunately, for Kruger, but that one is switch, 3-point bomb. Exactly what the Wildcats didn't need. Grace looking for Crawford, who's checked into the game with a height advantage over Kruger. He fires. Sneed comes up with the rebound and hands off to Rucker. Rucker tries his luck, couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke came up with the rebound. Grace quickly up the floor. This is Stewart. Hit 7 threes against Illawarra earlier this year, but unfortunately Ricky Grace couldn't get that to go for Perth. Rucker, heavy contact with Stewart. Ball spills out of court. Perth are going to come up with possession. Right in front of referee Roger Shills. No whistle forthcoming, Steve.
Well, that's probably a break for Townsville, because if that's a charge on Derek Rucker, then you want to keep him out of foul trouble in this basketball game. So a good no call. They just lose the basketball, give up a turnover, and start fresh.
Ricky Grace. Now Crawford, the veteran, has played more NBL games than anyone in history. Exchanges passes with Ricky Grace, works into the paint, pulls up for the jump shot, couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke tips it in, however. His first points in the match, and the lead back to 6 in favour of the Wildcats. Sneed. Now Curl working against Lichty to the baseline. Confronted by Van Dyke as well. No room for the shot. They work the ball to the other wing. This is Rucker on the baseline. Van Dyke, a huge block. His second of the match. And he is going to be an intimidating factor in this match.
Well, Townsville just needs to get something going inside. Chris Sneed hasn't been able to do anything down there against the taller timber of David Van Dyke. And it's been all perimeter for Townsville. They either need to get red hot for the full 48 minutes, or whatever's left of those 48 minutes, or they need to establish some sort of inside game in their half-court game somehow.
It's ironic, Steve, the last time these two teams met here, the Wildcats were 3 of 13 from 3-point territory for the match. They've already hit 3 in the first quarter here, 3 of 5 at 60%. They enjoy a 6-point break at the moment. They've made all the running here in the opening quarter. Steve Carfino suggested that Townsville cannot afford to let the Wildcats get a big lead on them. Trying to work the ball inside, couldn't get it to go. This is Rucker, pulls the trigger. Short on the iron again, Frolling from behind Van Dyke. Got the ball out of his hands, but it spills to Grace. Has support on both wings. No look pass from Stewart, and the jam from James Crawford as he elevates above the rim.
And because it's a perimeter game for Townsville, it's like an outlet pass when they come down with a rebound and they're off to the races with some transition baskets.
Just Cameron against Stewart. Foul is going to be called on the Perth Wildcats.
Those are the ones you want to lay off on. Jason Cameron was trying to turn the corner, but if he doesn't get that bump, he was going to either take a really tough shot. That one wasn't too tough as a result of some good passing on the fast break for the Perth Wildcats. But Townsville yet to get anything going in their half-court game other than shots like that.
Cameron short on the iron. This is Greg Brown, who's checked into the game as well. And it really was Perth's bench players on Wednesday night against North Melbourne that got them out of trouble. During the third term, Adrian Hurley ran Ricky Grace and 4 bench players, and they dragged themselves back into the game after trailing by as much as 17. And this man, Brown, had a big hand in it. His first shot, couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke's taken the ball from Frolling, however, and Perth will get another opportunity. Grace penetrates and is fouled by Derek Rucker. First foul in the match for Derek Rucker. 3:15 left here in the first term from Townsville. Wildcats have an 8-point break.
And that's what Ricky Grace does just as good as anybody in the league. Just wears you down for those 40-plus minutes that he's in the basketball game, constantly getting in the lane.
Blahoff. Now Vanderputten swings the ball around the perimeter to Ricky Grace, guarded by Mitchell Hill. In the corner is Greg Brown. Cameron out to face him very quickly. Inside, Vanderputten pulls up for the jumper. Swish from Gavin Vanderputten. His first shot in the match is all net. It's a 10-point break, under 3 minutes out from quarter time.
And when Perth is playing good basketball, that's how they wear you down. They just have a whole entire unit come in and do their role, and that's what Gavin Vanderputten pops open for a medium-range jump shot, and didn't look like missing.
Mitchell Hill has lost the ball. No, Rucker reels it back into Kruger, back to Mitchell Hill. And now Derek Rucker fires from a long way downtown and comes up with the goods. Well, it wasn't pretty, but they came up with a desired result.
Well, if they can get a couple of stops and get a couple of big threes to go down that, and maybe get a couple of turnovers, maybe they can stay in this game for a while. But it really looks doubtful because they haven't even gotten close to a shot in the paint.
There's Crawford. Pull around, jump shot, couldn't get it to go. Frolling slaps it away from the Wildcats. It falls to Derek Rucker. Picture of concentration as he brings the ball up the floor. Kruger had a heavy screen there on Brown. Inside, this is Shane Frolling, and finally they get some activity happening in the paint.
Well, the crowd playing a part in that one. Brown didn't even hear his teammates calling that screen right into it. That's got to hurt.
5 unanswered points from the Townsville Suns. This is Ricky Grace. Hard on the iron. Rucker had a piece of it. Ricky Grace read that well, though, and came up with possession. Blahoff. Back to Ricky Grace. Penetrates, back to the skipper, he fires for 3. Hard on the iron, Rucker's got another rebound. This time he maintains control of the ball. Cameron. Inside, Kruger. Somewhat untidily, but now back to the safe hands of Derek Rucker.
Well, their perimeter players are trying to get the basketball into their inside guys, and that time Grant Kruger didn't even look like he was ready for any type of a move.
Ricky Grace had that. It spills free. Vanderputten gives it back to him. Rucker with 10 points leads the game at the moment. Stewart with 8 leads the Wildcats. And James Crawford now has 4 as a game to lead. Extends. This time it's 7 points. As we count down the final 30 seconds of term number 1. Rucker. Greg Brown harassing him at the moment. One shot is what Derek Rucker is after. This is Shane Frolling against Vanderputten, lost the handle, spills out of court, wanted a foul, no whistle forthcoming from Mike Reese. 15 seconds left until quarter time, 12 seconds on the shot clock for the Townsville Suns. They would like to score in this play phase, a very important time in the match for them. Rucker, 4 seconds on the shot clock. Penetrates Mitchell Hill with the shot clock expiring. Hard on the iron, couldn't get it to go. Blahoff slaps it out of court. And with 1.5 seconds left on the clock, Townsville will get an opportunity. A last shot of the opening term. Cameron lost the handle. Here's Grace. Quarter time buzzer sounds. Perth Wildcats have taken the honours here in the first term. After leading by as much as 10, they have a 7-point break at quarter time. It's 24-17 here on Fox.
And the game has taken shape just like we probably thought it would. Perth has just been too big, too strong, and executing too well with all the depth that they have, and they showed it playing a lot of people in the first quarter. Townsville, they're shooting the basketball from the perimeter, 3 of 8 from downtown, and a lot of those 19 shot attempts have been either three-pointers or just inside the 3. As we take a look at the quarter time stats, it's the Perth Wildcats with only a 7-point lead. So if you're a Townsville Suns fan, you should probably be pretty relieved that it's only 7 points at this point, because Perth have dominated in the first quarter. Free throws, the Suns haven't been to the line yet. Perth Wildcats 1 of 3 three-pointers. Both teams are 3 of 8. Field goals 10 of 23 for the Perth Wildcats for their 43%. Townsville Suns need to get that inside game going, like we've said so many times. Wildcats slaughtering the Suns on the board. So so far, and then the turnovers have been low for both of these teams, and the assists are 6-3. Top scorers, Derek Rucker has 10 for the Suns already. Simon Curl hit a long bomb for a 3. Shane Frawling and Tony DeAmbrosis have 2 each. For the Perth Wildcats, Anthony Stewart, top scorers with 8. Todd Lichty has 5. James Crawford came in off the bench and popped a couple for 2. Andrew Vlahoff for 3. And David Van Dyke only has 2 points, but he has been a force on the boards as well as blocking shots and changing shots of the Townsville Suns.
Certainly the Wildcats can hurt you from a variety of avenues. In their last 5 games, they have had 5 different top scorers. And Adrian Hurley will explain his thoughts about that at halftime. In terms of statistics, the Wildcats are the leading rebounding team in the league. The Suns are the worst, and that was with Clarence Tyson in their lineup. So obviously, they really are going to find this difficult against that huge Perth wall. Although it has to be said, the Wildcats haven't been in the best form. They've only won twice in their last 7 games. And with so much riding on this, Townsville, of course, were ready for the challenge.
It is hard to imagine the Perth Wildcats in a bit of a slump, but they do go on those little scoring droughts that, you know, we've seen a lot this year with quite a few teams, and Perth is guilty of that too, even though they have so many scores.
Rucker to Sneed, and he stuffs it in the hole. That was the start the Townsville Suns were after here in term number 2.
Well, that's what Perth relies on with Ricky Grace as Anthony Stewart bombs away for another 3. Got to get a hand up on one of the best 3-pointers in the land.
DeAmbrosis, now Sneed. Looking for Cameron. Pass was partially blocked. Now DeAmbrosis takes that step before putting the ball on the floor. Almost the identical position as well. For the second time. Mark Bragg trying to rev his troops up. Grace quarterbacking the team from the top of the key, guarded by Jason Cameron. Inside Vlahoff, spinning one way. Lichty, quick hands, here's the danger man. Stewart pulls the trigger. He is now a perfect 4 of 4 from downtown. 14 points, he leads the game.
The ball movement was just superb by the Wildcats, and they know exactly where their teammates are open in that zone.
Curl, looking against Lichty. Penetrates, high arc on the shot, banks 2 in off the glass. Confidence boosted there for Simon Curl. Grace, Stewart, now it's contagious. Called for a travelling violation as well.
I don't know about that one. Looked like he just stuttered with his front foot. Took a bit of a stop with his front foot. Would have loved to have seen a replay.
This is Curl firing for 3, couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke wrestling with DeAmbrosis for the rebound, and Grace has come up with the ball off the Stewart. Looking inside, that's a bad pass. Straight to Simon Curl. Now Rucker working against Grace and drawing contact as well. The foul will be called on Ricky Grace. And Derek Rucker will go to the stripe, where he is a very reliable conveyance indeed. Shooting the ball 80% from the stripe so far this year, Derek Rucker.
Ricky Grace, his argument was that it was on the floor still. A little bit late on that replay, but his argument was he fouled him before Derek Rucker got into his shooting motion.
Rucker now has 11 points in the match. 2 of 3 from 3-point territory. And it's back to a 7-point ball game after almost 2 minutes of term number 2. Grace. Should be an absorbing battle with Rucker, and Todd Lichty wheels to the top of the key and comes up with another 2.
He is so tough when he comes off those screens. Good screeners for the Perth Wildcats. That's a kicking violation, so they'll restart the clock, the shot clock. DeAmbrosis accepts the inbound pass. Now saw some room to work into.
The pass was intended for Chris Sneed, but Todd Lichty read it like a cheap novel, and he's off and running. Coast to coast, pulls up for the jumper. Couldn't get it to go. Rucker had a piece of it, and now he gets it back from D'Ambrosius. Curl. Now Cameron fires for three. It's all oxygen and spills into the lap of Andrew Vlahoff. Just a little bit of adrenaline pumping through the body there of Jason Cameron, who is in the top 5 in the league from three-point territory. Rare that you'll see him miss by that margin from that range. At the moment, the Suns are chasing, down by 9 points. Stewart has been the danger man, works down to the baseline. Cameron did a good job there against him defensively. Now Grace, 2 seconds on the shot clock, he's coughed it up, but illegally a foul has been found. It looks like Simon Curl. If it is, that will be his first.
Well, if Tony D'Ambrosius shuffled his pivot foot on that one, so did Ricky Grace. And Ricky's hard enough to guard and keep out of the lane when he does it legally, much less when he shuffles his pivot foot.
And already, Steve, a pattern developing in the rebound count that is going to hurt Townsville. Perth 17 boards, Townsville 10. After just 3 minutes of the second quarter, they are almost doubling their output in the rebounding count.
I mean, we're not surprised. It was going to take a superhuman effort on the boards to keep the Wildcats and that off the glass. And that's the thing, like we pointed out before the game, this is a very crucial game for the Wildcats too. And they were ready for this crowd. They're ready for the determination of the Townsville Suns, who they knew were in a desperate situation. So they came out focused. They were not down and thinking that they were just going to win this basketball game just by showing up. They've come ready to play.
What a season it has been for Mark Bragg and the Townsville Suns. Only 1 week so far out of the top 6. But if they come up empty here, their season will be over. And they can look forward to the season that will begin on the 29th of January next year. And ironically, their first up assignment is a trip to Perth.
Well, if they don't make the playoffs, they have made positive steps every single year. If Clarence Tyson didn't go down with an injury, you don't know what would happen, but they've dealt with everything that they've had to. As Vlahoff goes for a strong move. And look at that hustle by a superstar player, Andrew Vlahoff.
Much to the disappointment of the crowd, Perth are going to come up with possession. Chris Sneed playing with the Dandenong Rangers in the CBA just a few weeks ago when given the call up. Mark Bragg has been impressed in the 2 games that he has played. Obviously his first match against Brisbane, he needed some time to adjust and he managed only 5 points, but in his next match in this venue last week, he top scored for Townsville with 26 points. And another good point is the fact that 2/3 of his rebounds come at the offensive end. That is something that Townsville are really enjoying. This is Vlahoff spinning against Kruger, couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke just too tall in there for Rucker and Sneed, and a quick call by Roger Shields, which disappoints both players, I suspect, and especially Van Dyke. We're going to jump this. Sneed is quite an athlete. Will be interesting to see how he goes here against Van Dyke. He was very physical. Now Rucker with Grace and Lichty to beat. He takes them on and gets it to go. It was almost a circus trick.
Well, sometimes great defense just cannot stop a great offensive move. And Derek Rucker just trying a little too hard to get something going for his team. And this is where an intelligent crowd that knows the game can tell when their team needs a lift. They just don't need to react off of a big 3-point shot or a dunk. The crowd needs to get their team going, because Perth, if they just continue to have the game going in this way, Perth is going to have a sizable win.
Anthony Stewart dictating play for the moment, guarded by Jason Cameron. Back to Crawford, in turn Lichty, guarded by Simon Curl. Now Grace against Derek Rucker, works the ball straight between Anthony Stewart and Todd Lichty. Out of court, Townsville come up with the ball. 4 minutes played, term number 2. 7-point lead in favour of the Wildcats, who have made all the running. Derek Rucker for 3. Got a big piece of the iron without success. They wrestle for the loose ball. Crawford's got it now. Sneed and Kruger harassing him. Not all that comfortable at the moment. It's been a pleasant experience in that sort of traffic. This is Grace, coast to coast, short arms the shot. Van Dijk got a piece of it. Grace has got it back. Stewart yet to miss from three-point territory. Now he has. Curl accepts the pass from Derek Rucker to bring Townsville forward again. Sneed against Crawford to the baseline. No room for the shot. Back to Curl, now Kruger. Curl works the ball to Cameron. Along the baseline, now Curl penetrates just inside the paint, gets the two and draws a foul, getting a whack in the head while taking the shot. He will go to the stripe, and as Townsville's leading foul line shooter, expect him to make the three-point play.
Well, Simon Curl had good concentration on that one because he took a fair whack to the back of the head and still concentrated hard enough to get that one to go. And those are the type of plays that they need to make. Big time plays in a big time situation. Get it close, let the crowd have something to cheer about, and then maybe they can get a couple of breaks. But when they're down by 10, 12, it's really hard for the crowd to get into it.
Timeout called by the Perth Wildcats. 7.5 minutes out from halftime. 5-point break, but Simon Curl will try and reduce by 1 from the stripe. Perth led by as much as 11 less than 4 minutes ago. And just while we have this moment, some interesting news around the league in the past couple of days. We understand that Leon Trimmingham will be leaving the Adelaide 36ers. He has been offered a chance to try out for the NBA with Portland and Toronto. And Adelaide, of course, looking as though their season will not include the playoffs. If that is the case, Trimmingham will go to the States and try his luck in the NBA. He also says that he will not return for the season between January and June, hoping that he will be playing in the NBA. If not, he will be going to the Philippines to accept a lucrative contract there. But he has not ruled out the possibility of returning to Australia for the October season, the first summer season. And let's hope he's not lost to us entirely, Steve, because he's provided us with so many highlights.
Well, I tell you what, he will be very hard to replace with the excitement meter. He just gets upstairs so quick. And Leon really has worked on his game. The NBA scout said he needed to have more of a perimeter game, not only shoot the basketball, but be able to put it on the floor. And he has shown us at times this year that he can do that.
Here is a man from the NBA, Todd Lixie. Works the ball to Harkis, who's checked into the game. Couldn't get his first shot to tumble. But now relieves the pressure and goes back to Ricky Grace. Now Crawford with a height advantage over Kruger. Grace working on Rucker. Back to Crawford. Pulls up for the jump shot. Did a lap of honor. Harkis is there to put the finishing touches on. First points in the match for him. Perth back to a 6-point break.
Well, Adrian Hurley really likes this Harkis kid. He said he plays hard and he just doesn't know the meaning of back down. But not only that, it's one thing to be determined, it's another thing to be in the right position at the right time for that offensive board.
Curl takes Lichty on without success. Van Dijk comes up with the rebound. Hands off to Ricky Grace, who wants to push this quickly up the floor. Lichty slows it down somewhat. Van Dijk has 8 boards already in the match. Townsville have 11 as a team. And now a foul has been called on Grant Kruger, I believe, as Ricky Grace is helped up from the floor. Scott Butler makes the call. It is on Grant Kruger, his first personal.
And Grant took a bit of a shot at Ricky Grace as he starts to finish this one. Watch, and gives him a little shove as he was starting to land.
Grace catch and shoot over Rucker. Couldn't get it to go. Van Dijk reaching in over the top of Chris Sneed. Almost came up with the ball but loses control, and Townsville get an opportunity to get a little closer to the Wildcats. Tick over 6 minutes left here in the first half from the Furnace in Townsville. The NBL live on Fox. Curl couldn't get the three-point attempt to go. Van Dijk's got another rebound. Lichty, first man up the floor, confronted by Kruger and helps himself to 2. Thought he was fouled as well, but what a play, showing NBA quality. Todd Lichty gets Perth back to an 8-point advantage. Mitchell Hill, the 3, short on the iron. I'll get another opportunity though. This is Sneed. He's had his problems so far in the match from close range. Van Dijk worried him out of the points. Mitchell Hill has monstered as well. Sneed's got it back. He had to work hard for it, but he came up with the 2.
And that's what he needs to do. He needs to go right at the big fella, David Van Dijk. and just get him to go into his body so he can't use that big, long reach to block those shots. It was a very impressive move, even though he didn't get the first one to go.
Of course, Van Dyke has been foul prone in the past. This is Lichty. Crawford and Kruger having an excellent wrestle on the low block. Crawford double team for the moment to the baseline. Whistle provided by Scott Butler. Another foul is going to be called on Grant Kruger.
Now Townsville trying to get a little bit physical with Perth, trying to rattle their cage a little bit, but the Wildcats have been so professional. No reaction out of Ricky Grace when Grant Kruger gave him a bit of a shot. No reaction out of James Crawford after he got some close defensive attention. Just keeping their poise.
Lichty, the curl right in his hip pocket. Now Harkers, top of the key. Ricky Grace. 5 minutes out from half-time. 6-point break to the Perth Wildcats. Van Dyke has been subbed out of the game. He has 10 rebounds already in the match. This is Grace penetrating. Yes, gets the user-friendly roll, did all the hard work. And Ricky Grace has his first points in the match on 1 of 6 shooting from the field. At the other end, Rucker penetrating against Crawford and Grace. Draws a foul on his opposite number, Ricky Grace.
There's Clarence Tyson. Well, he looks very uncomfortable sitting over there. I'm sure that most of it is because he doesn't like to be sitting down when his team is fighting for their playoff life. But Derek Rucker and Ricky Grace going at it. That matchup goes back to 1990.
Curl penetrates, got close to the hoop and came up with the points as well. Simon Curl now in the double figures. As Lichty at the other end pulls up for 3 and never looked like missing. Todd Lichty now 2 of 4 from downtown. 12 points in the match for him. The lead is back to 9. Townsville just cannot prevent Perth from scoring at the moment, and are finding it a much more difficult proposition at their offensive end. Mitchell Hill, now Curl firing over Lichty for 3. Yes, he buries it. Crowd again on their feet as Simon Curl provides 3 more to get Townsville back to within 6.
Well, you got to give Townsville some credit for just hanging in this basketball game with pretty much an all perimeter game.
Lichty trying his luck again. Same result from Todd Lichty. What a match he is having. Now with 15 points, he leads the game. And Lichty, after going through a form slump during the middle of the season, has just started to get back to his brilliant best in the past couple of weeks, and that's a good sign for Perth leading into the playoffs. Curl penetrates, fires up the shot, couldn't get it to go. Harker slapped it away from the danger zone. It falls to Stewart. Lichty in support. Crawford joining in off the glass, couldn't get it to go, but draws a foul. And the veteran James Crawford will go to the stripe for the first time in the match.
Well, Perth just going about their business. Simon Curl's got a few words. He's not happy about something, but this is what Perth is doing in a 3-on-2 fast break. Almost a 3-on-1. And the Wildcats, every time Townsville hits a big 3-pointer or something to that effect, they've been able to answer and get that lead right up around the double figures again.
Crawford overshoots the second one. Kruger came up with a rebound, and a foul has been called on the Perth Wildcats.
Foul has been called on number 44, Scott Harkers. That's his first foul.
And that's what he's in there for. He's in there to play hard. If he gets a couple of fouls, fine. He can rest James Crawford. They got Manquin over there. They've got Dory. They've got all kind of people to put in this basketball game. So there's no reason to save yourself when you're a Perth Wildcat. You've got so much depth.
Rucker fires for 3. Yes! He puts another in the hole. Derek Rucker now with 17 points, overtakes Lichty as the game high scorer. His team is back to within 7. 30 of Townsville's 38 points have been provided by Rucker and Simon Curl. Stewart penetrating to Van Dyke from close range. He comes up with 2. Too tall, too strong. David Van Dyke gets the lead back out to 9 for the Perth Wildcats. Half minutes out from half time. Curl, top of the key, down to the baseline, closely monitored by Todd Lichty. Back to Shane Frolling. They lead him wide open, and he makes them pay. 2 of 2 from the field. Shane Frolling
Well, that's a better shot attempt, really. I mean, Shane Froling was wide open. That's a 17-footer that he must hit if Townsville is going to stay in this basketball game. 3-point shots, they're getting out further and further for Derek Rucker and Simon Curl. If they can get a couple of players for the Townsville Suns to hit a couple of those chip shots, that'll take a lot of the pressure on them. Now, that's a long three with pressure for Derek Rucker, but they've been able to hit him.
There you see the rebound count heavily weighted in favor of the Wildcats. Van Dyke has 10 to lead that count individually. As Mark Bragg tries to lift his troops here. Another news around the NBL. Mike Mitchell was in court today. He faced some charges stemming from an incident in Sydney earlier this year. The case is continuing, so there's not much we can tell you about that. Although at the moment he is struggling with an ankle problem that may prevent him from playing again this year. And if that isn't bad enough for the North Melbourne Giants, Paul Rees, their star centre who missed the first half of the season with a knee injury, broke his wrist in Wednesday night's game against the Perth Wildcats. It is his non-preferred shooting hand, his left hand. But at this stage, the verdict is that he will not play again unless North Melbourne make the grand final. They are going to surrender second spot to the Melbourne Tigers, it would appear, which will throw them into the quarter-final mix, and probably a matchup against Canberra is my guess. But certainly without Paul Rees, North Melbourne's championship hopes nosedive dramatically. 2 minutes left until half-time. Todd Lichty misses on that occasion. Van Dyke came in aggressively and is being called for a foul, I believe. Yes, that is right.
Well, Chris Sneed applauding that one because he has had the pressure of Van Dyke going over his back the entire night. He's been trying to get a body on him, but Van Dyke is just so big with those long arms. If he's allowed to get some contact too, Sneed's just in a lot of trouble. Now, I spoke with Dave Lynchner before the game, and one of the areas that he wasn't sure on Chris Sneed was from the foul line. Let's see how he goes. Interesting style, but hey, he hit it.
Coming into the match, Steve, he was 7 of 14 from the stripe in his 2 matches. And the shooting action just gets better. So back to a 5-point game. Townsville have done well here to hang in this match. They trail by as much as 11 here in term number 2. This is Grace. Looking for Van Dyke. Sneed all over him. Now Harkis works baseline against Mitchell Hill. Van Dyke trying to work the ball inside. Cut out by Froling. Shot clock down to 5 seconds for Perth. Grace needs to be quick, so he fires for 3. Short on the iron. Sneed coming over the top of Harkis, came up with a rebound, almost left it behind. And now hands off to Kieran Mitchell-Hill. In turn to Simon Curl. Good comeback here from the Townsville Suns as we close in on the final 60 seconds of term number 2. Curl penetrates, trying to work the ball inside further, couldn't do so. Shot clock down to 9. Curl pulls the trigger, hard on the iron. Froling's going to come up with it. Now Rucker baseline, no room for the shot. Back to Simon Curl, he pulls the trigger again, and this time he connects. Curl 3 of 6 from downtown, has 16 points in the match, and only Rucker with 17 has more. 2 ball game. Crowd getting behind their team here as they search for their first ever spot in the playoffs. Harkis, high arc on the 3, he buries it, an unlikely source of points beyond the perimeter, but Scott Harkis is on the scoreboard as well. And of the 9 players Perth have used in this match so far, only Greg Brown is yet to be on the score sheet. Mitchell Hill back to Simon Curl. Backing his way in against Ricky Grace with the shot clock about to expire. He pulls up for the jumper, couldn't get it to go. The foul has been called. It would appear on Ricky Grace.
Well, Ricky Grace gets that foul. Simon Curl, who showed he could really be successful at backing a smaller guard in a 1-4 flat, and that's what they go to a lot in closing situations, especially at the end of quarters. They like to go to that because if the double team comes, he has shown that he can hit the open man.
82% from the stripe. Simon Curl coming into this match. He comes good with both to get Townsville back to within 3. Final 10 seconds of the first half. Anthony Stewart with possession. The Wildcats, a 3-point break at the moment. Works to the baseline and Stewart banks 2 off the glass right on the halftime buzzer, and the Perth Wildcats certainly have started this match in an enterprising fashion. They have a 5-point break at halftime. It's 52-47 here on Fox Sports.
Welcome back to the Furnace here in Townsville, where the Suns are fighting for their playoff life. And one of the players that has been excellent in this basketball game, leading scorer for the Townsville Suns, is Simon Curl. And I believe he has a bit of writing skills that he likes to try and get out into the public. And one of the things that he writes in the Townsville Suns program is trash talk. And he's got some interesting teams on in this article, and one of them is the All-Telstra team, and these guys qualify because they can shoot the basketball from long distance. He talks about Derek Rucker, Andrew Gaze, Shane Hill, the former Sydney King, Andrew Parkinson, his good mate from Melbourne, and Brett Maher. Now, he's got an all-future All-Stars team, and he talks about Frank Drimmick from the Magic, Matty Nielsen from the Sydney Kings, Glenn Saville from the Illawarra Hawks, Simon Curl from Canberra, and David Panisi, one of his teammates here with the Townsville Suns. Some other great teams he's talking about. Well, this one's quite kind of funny, really. It's the all-Panadol team. And these guys aren't sick, he says, although their shot selection at times gives the coaches a bit of a headache. Cameron Dickinson from Sydney, Clayton Ritter from the Illawarra Hawks, Leonard Copeland from the Melbourne Tigers, Tawny Jensen, who's the captain of the Newcastle Falcons, and Andrew Gaze. Andrew Gaze gets a mention on the all-Panadol team. And it's quite tongue-in-cheek, and it's pretty interesting reading. And then he goes to the all-ceiling team. James Crawford, of course, this has got to be the jumpers team. Leon Trimmingham, and he must be the captain of this team because he can get upstairs, like we said before. Sam McKinnon, Simon DeWhite, and Glenn Saville. So some pretty funny things out there. And as you can see, he's quite a character with that blue hair. I'm not sure exactly what inspired him to do so, but one of his teammates, Shane Frawling, said that he was good for at least 300 flushes with that head.
And speaking about blue, those teams you see there in the blue have already qualified for this year's playoffs. The Magic will be the minor premiers. The Tigers have overtaken the Giants, who finish 18-12, a very respectable record for them, but without Mitchell and Reeves, one wonders how far they will progress. As you can see, the Wildcats in 4th spot at the moment. The Brisbane Bullets are 5th with 2 games to play. And the Suns are in the 6th at the moment, and Adelaide and the Canberra Cannons with the same win-loss ratio are just outside the 6, and this weekend is going to decide it. As we've said during the call here, Townsville need to win and then hope that Adelaide get beaten by the Melbourne Tigers, and certainly Canberra against Sydney will be an important game tomorrow night as well. The Cannons, perhaps outside of the Melbourne Tigers, who are on an 11-game winning streak, perhaps the Cannons are the next best team in terms of form, Steve.
I think so, and they have really put some good games together thanks to Robert Rose, and probably one of the most underrated crowds in the league. The Canberra Cannons fans, they know their basketball. They've had some successful teams in the past. We always talk about knowledgeable fans. When someone shuffles their feet and the crowd knows it's a travel, they kind of and ah and help the referees along. And so they're in a position with their crowd behind them against a team that has been inconsistent this year, to say the least, the Sydney Kings, and they're in charge of their own fate, and they can do a I think they can do themselves justice if they make the playoffs.
Well, the Cannons have won 4 of their last 5 games, including victories over the Magic, Townsville, North Melbourne and Adelaide. Their only loss, a 1-point defeat at the hands of Perth in Perth. So that form reads pretty well for the playoffs, and all Canberra have to rely on now is getting there. And they will start favourites against the Kings tomorrow night. But we still have a long way to go here, in this match. And Scott Butler, the referee, throws the ball high in the air. And the Perth Wildcats, as they did in the opening term, have come up with possession from the tip. Trying to build on a 5-point lead at the moment. This is Grace involved with a tangle there with Cameron, Sneed. Van Dyke was in the vicinity as well. The foul is called on Chris Sneed. That will be his first personal.
Well, Townsville know how important it is for them to start well and not try and come from a big deficit here in the second half, so they're going to be trying to be physical.
Stewart penetrates back to Vlahoff against Tony D'Ambrosis. He fires and connects. Andrew Vlahoff, 2 of 6 from the field, has 5 points in the match. The lead is out to 7 after 30 seconds of term number 3. Curl penetrates to D'Ambrosis. Now Cameron. Back to Curl, working against Lichty to the baseline. No room for the shot. He spots Cameron open. Hard on the iron, couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke swatted that ball intelligently to the advantage of Todd Lichty. He has Stewart to the right, Grace to the left, and inside Vlahoff. Sneed blocked the shot. Excellent defensive play from the new recruit for the Townsville Suns. The ball spills out of court, however, and Perth will get another opportunity.
Well, he needs to be more of a factor in this basketball game, and that's a good sign for Townsville. Maybe it'll spark his offensive game at the other end.
Excellent defensive play, but the Wildcats still with possession. Lichty working against Cameron. Now Grace. Again getting past Rucker. This is Vlahoff. They've turned the ball over. 1 pass too many. Here's Rucker. Had to wait for the ball. Back to Sneed. And a finger roll for 2. It can be very athletic above the rim, but for the moment, they'll take the easy 2 and they're back to within 5.
Good choice, too, because Lichty kind of disturbed the rhythm of him getting into that layup, and those points are more important than a spectacular play at the moment.
Now breaks. Top of the key, this is Stewart firing for 3 more. Couldn't get it to go. Vlahoff comes up with the rebound. Van Dyke in support, gets it next with a huge height advantage over Rucker, who worried him out of the points. Now Rucker will bring Townsville back up the floor against Stewart. He works to the baseline. Surrounded by Perth's tall timber, he retreats to Curl. Now Cameron back to Sneed on the baseline. Van Dyke got a big piece of the ball, and Roger Shields has called a foul on Van Dyke for illegal use of the body.
Well, it must have been body because he got a lot of ball in the hands. We'll get another look at it as Sneed makes a strong move to the hoop. Tell you what, from that angle, it didn't really look like he got any body. And that just shows you the ability that Van Dyke has as a shot blocker, because he was well and truly beat, and he can recover so quickly with his shot blocking ability.
Sneed 3 of 3 from the stripe so far in the match. No problems with his shooting action. Townsville as a team are now 9 of 9 from the stripe. The Wildcats 2 of 4. It's a 3-point ball game. 10 minutes left here. Term number 3 from the Furnace. You're watching the NBL live around Australia on Fox. Playoffs now just a week away, although effectively this is a playoff game for Townsville. A must-win situation for them. Stewart against Rucker. Sneed joining in. Now they wrestle for the loose ball. Vlahoff came up with it and helps himself to 2 more. Curl quickly moves the ball to Cameron, who has been somewhat gun-shy in this match. Rucker ends up with it. Cameron none of 5 from the field at the moment, yet to score in the match, and that is not a good sign. He averages 13 points per game as Curl connects hard on the line with the shot. Now Lichty. Stewart to his right. Grace joining in next. And took 1 step too many. They turn the ball over, the Perth Wildcats, for the 9th time in the match. Townsville have 7 turnovers as a team. 9 minutes left here until the final break, and it's Perth by 5. Townsville would like to score this trip up the floor. Sneed surveys the options. Cameron top of the key. Now Rucker joining in, guarded by Anthony Stewart. Lob pass intended for D'Ambrosius, cut out by Vlahoff, but here comes Chris Sneed, and the foul is called on Van Dyke. His third personal.
Well, Townsville getting a couple of breaks with the basketball just bouncing their way. But the turnovers that we have had in this basketball game have been good turnovers. They've been attacking turnovers, not so much where they've been a lack of concentration, some mental letdowns resulting in turnovers. They've really been good ones.
Curl, catch and shoot for three. Overshot the ball. Lichty had it, lost it, gets it back now off to Ricky Grace. Vlahoff, guarded by D'Ambrosius. Inside, Anthony Stewart cutting hard to the hoop. Saw James Crawford in a better position and hands off as Crawford helps himself to two more. Cameron pulls up for three. Couldn't get it to go. He is having a nightmare at the moment. Cameron, none of 6 from the field. Yet to score in the match. Perth lead by 7. Crawford back to Stewart, now Vlahoff against Chris Sneed. Stewart quickly, Lichty firing for three. Yes, he buries it. Dangerous signs now for the Townsville Suns as Todd Lichty helps himself to another three. 4 of 6 from beyond the perimeter, the same as Anthony Stewart. And Lichty has 18 points to join Simon Curl as the game high scorer.
Now Mark Bragg is having some words with Roger Shields on the play where Jason Cameron got hit in the head pretty hard by Andrew Vlahoff, who fell out of bounds, but I'm sure Roger Shields didn't call that one because Townsville had an advantage of 5 players to 4 and didn't want to blow the whistle and let the game flow. It didn't bother Jason Cameron much because he just caught the thing in rhythm and took a long 3-point shot. Now, it just didn't work out their way because the Wildcats went back down the floor and Lichty nails a 3, and that's just how the game rolls.
Adrian Hurley of the Perth Wildcats. It was interesting when I spoke with him. Unfortunately, the aborted interview, you weren't able to hear his thoughts, but Townsville trip for Perth, and they've made it twice this year, is in the vicinity of 10,000 kilometres round trip. So 2 trips here is over 20,000 K. And the South East Melbourne Magic, who sit on top of the ladder at the moment, will travel only 25,000 for the entire year. And certainly that much travel, now that we are into a 3-series situation, it's got to hurt Perth. In fact, Phil Doherty was to start, or certainly was to play in the match against North Melbourne on Wednesday, but with that problem he's had with his leg, the fluid just arrived during the flight over, and with all that tall timber, flying is not good for injured players. And as he said during that interview, it's going to become more and more a factor. They aren't using it as an excuse, though, but I can tell you that only 3 of the 13 players that Perth have used this year have played all 29 games, such as being their injury woes. Curl finds the target once more. He is now the game high scorer with 20 points and gets Townsville back to within 8. They need to find a way to stop the Perth Wildcats in offense, however. Stewart. Cameron all over him. Here's Crawford against Sneed. Pulls up for the jumper, and they're making it look pretty easy once they get the ball inside, Steve.
They sure are. That's a bad pass. Even if Kruger catches that one, he wouldn't have been able to do much with it, running full speed in traffic.
7 minutes out from the final break. Perth lead by 10. Townsville in danger of watching them slip away here. Crawford draws a foul on Chris Sneed, just showing his experience there. Sneed does not like the call from Roger Shields, his second personal.
Well, there's a lot of contact on the initial 2 bumps. You have to understand that if you continue to bump a guy that has the basketball right in front of the referee, you really leave him no choice. And the experience, like you said, John, about to surface for the Wildcats, James Crawford, knowing that, kind of leans into Sneed and gets the foul call.
Crawford unsuccessful with the second shot there. 11-point break at the moment. Foul's going to be called on Crawford, wrestling with Chris Sneed. Tit for tat at the moment between those two. Although Sneed will not go to the stripe. Rucker Gets the ball back from Snead. Curls at the top of the key and gets it next against Ricky Grace. He moves the ball to Mitchell Hill. Kruger down low against Vlahoff. Two very powerful men there. Rucker did well there. It was an awkward pass from Kruger. Now Curl is open for the shot. He pulls the trigger. Short on the iron. Lichty ahead of Kruger came up with an important rebound for the Perth Wildcats. Grace back to Lichty. He fires for three. He is putting on a clinic at the moment. And Todd Lichty now has 21 points in the match, a game high, including 5 of 7 from three-point territory at 71%.
Now you can't fault Townsville as much as you could say you could fault Perth in leaving open a shooter, because the Perth Wildcats, everybody on the court can hurt you. But there are usually about 3 Suns that don't look to shoot the basketball, so it's unexcusable to leave Derek Rucker or Simon Curl open on the break.
6:11 left here in the third term. A 14-point lead to the Perth Wildcats is the biggest we have seen in the match so far. Although Perth have dominated the match, they scored the first 5 points of the game. At one stage in the first quarter, they led by as much as 10. At one stage in the second term, they had a double-figure lead as well. But it certainly has not been as big as this. And one wonders about Townsville's ability now to reel them in, Steve, particularly when they are getting hammered severely in the rebound count. 33-21, they lead that at the moment, and obviously the Wildcats at almost 50% from three-point territory, making it very difficult for them.
It really is. I mean, they are shooting a superior field goal percentage as well as three-point shooting, as you can see by the graphic on the bottom left, 50% to 40%, 27 of 54 shots. They're getting more shot attempts and they're shooting more accurately. The Suns have 6 more free throws to get it a little closer, but when I was mentioning at the beginning of the telecast that they can't allow Perth to get a sizable lead because they're just so big. They're only going to get a certain number of shots. They're not going to get very many second shots because they just can't seem to rebound with the Wildcats. They're just going to have to really get it done from three-point range, and Perth is going to continue to shoot at about a 50% clip.
Pressure up the floor from Townsville here. Now Stewart retreats away from Curl and goes back to Crawford. With a height advantage against Kruger, he works to the baseline and drains 2 more. Crawford now has 12 points in the match on 5 of 9 shooting. And the lead is out to 16. Crawling back to Rucker, working against Stewart, gets to the baseline, no room for the shot from close range though. There's Grant Kruger. His first points in the match. They need some stops as well, Townsville. Crawford to Lichty. Now Grace, guarded by Rucker. He penetrates to the baseline, fires up the shot, and Crawford catches it high above the rim and comes up with a jam.
A good solid penetration by Ricky Grace, even though he misses the shot, drew the defense to help for the block.
Here's Rucker penetrating and getting to. The finger roll falls for Derek Rucker, and also a chance at a three-point play. Foul on the Wildcats.
Ricky Grace obviously felt like he was there. You won't get a whole lot of protest out of Ricky Grace. He doesn't say a whole lot. But this is a call that Townsville definitely need. They just need some breaks, and they need some stops too.
Crawford, another important rebound. And it hands off to Stewart. Guarded by Rucker. Mitchell Hill thought about the double team and then retreated. Lichty. Wildcats will be prepared to milk the clock from now on in, one suspects. They have a handy break and just have it over Townsville in terms of manpower at the moment. Certainly in terms of height. This is Brown firing for 3. Skips over the iron. Rucker did well there, coming from behind Anthony Stewart. He's off and running. Pulls up for the jumper, going coast. 2 off the glass. An excellent move from Derek Rucker. Back to a 12-point game in favour of the Perth Wildcats. Let's see if Townsville's defence can come to the party as well. Brown to Lichty and gets it back. Shot clock into single figures. This is Crawford. He pulls the trigger. Hard on the iron. Mitchell Hill comes up with a rebound. Hands off to Rucker. Again, Townsville making a run at Perth. He pulls up for three. Yes! Derek Rucker, now 4 of 6 from downtown, has 24 points in the match. A game high from him, and it's back to a 9-point lead in favor of Perth.
That's a good timeout by Adrian Hurley. Take the crowd out of the basketball game. Derek Rucker hits a long three. They miss a couple of shots at the other end of the floor, and he's going to do that. He's a good player. He's a good player. And Townsville have shown that they can stay in basketball games, but still they're down by 9 if Perth comes down, and they're very patient. They get a high percentage shot, or even if they go to the foul line, that will really take the zip out of the crowd and also give them a double-figure lead again.
Townsville 9-2 run here in the final 2 minutes. Gets them back to within 9. 3:43 left on the clock until the final break. Perth assured of a playoff spot and now just playing for home court advantage. We've mentioned there are quite a number of possibilities, but the likely scenario is that the Wildcats will be heading back to Queensland next week, probably for a clash with the Brisbane Bullets.
And isn't that a team that is hard to predict what they're going to do? Now, how they won that game against the Adelaide 36ers in Brisbane last week is beyond me. I know it was a phenomenal finish, but how they were even in a position as undermanned as they were.
Brisbane have beaten the Wildcats twice this year, including a win in Perth. But that is yet to happen. Here at the moment, 3.5 minutes out from the final break. Perth lead by 9. Townsville trying to get back into this match. Frolling all over Van Dyke. Shot clock down to 3. Whistle provided by Roger Shields. The foul will be on Shane Frolling.
Now Townsville have not backed down in this one. They are being extremely physical with Perth, and I think it just has shown tremendous poise by the Wildcats. And good out of bounds play. Whenever you overplay, you can give up a layup like that if a team executes a good out of bounds play to the baseline. That's why most teams zone.
Kruger came up with a big 2 there against the combined resources of Crawford and Van Dyke. But they need to find some other players to help out in terms of scoring. Noticeably Jason Cameron, who is none of 6 from the field yet to score in the match. They could do with his 13 points at the moment. They'd be in front. Crawford will inbound the ball. Todd Lichty, guarded by Mitchell Hill. Spinning one way, then the other. Between the legs, now Crawford against Kruger. They've exploited this mismatch throughout the match. And here's Crawford, this time unsuccessfully. Kruger had it. Rucker's got it now, has he? Well, a foul has been called on James Crawford before Anthony Stewart finished on the floor. That will be Crawford's second personal.
And that's a good call. Derek Rucker didn't quite have possession of it, but that nudge from James Crawford made it even more difficult, put him in a disadvantage. Good call. And Rucker goes to the line. And James Crawford in the post against Grant Kruger on the other end. Grant's doing a good job being physical down low with him, but once James Crawford elevates into that jump shot, Grant Kruger is nowhere to be found on that. But credit to Grant, not many players are anywhere to be found once James Crawford elevates.
Derek Rucker successful with the second. Now pressure up the floor. Lichty with Frolling and Kruger and Curl, and now Mitchell Hill all over him. There must be loose players somewhere for Perth. Then foul called on Grant Kruger. That will be his 3rd personal. 2.5 minutes out from 3/4 time. An 8-point ball game in favor of Perth. The undermanned Townsville Suns just finding it difficult to stop Perth in offense at the moment. $21 points so far in term number 3 for the Wildcats. They had 28 in term number 2 and 24 in the opening quarter. This is Harkis. Good D played by Kieran Mitchell-Hill, but he can't prevent Harkis from getting two more for the Perth Wildcats. Again, the lead is into double figures. Rucker, long way from the hoop, guarded by Stewart. Screen from Kruger, he pulls up for three more. Yes! Derek Rucker now 5 of 7 from downtown. 28 points, he leads the game. Lead back to 7.
If Townsville can make a run now, this is the time, because Perth have a lineup that's not full of scorers out there, and that'll be a block on Shane Frawling first. He's reaching in. But this team has, they've got Harkis and Brown out on the court at the same time. They're resting Vlahoff and Lichty.
Ricky Grace getting a break as well, which you don't see a lot of. There's the coaching hierarchy of Townsville. Mark Bragg on the left, Dave Lindstrom, the assistant, on the right. There's season riding on this result. The fans getting involved behind the backboard as well as Crawford lines up from the stripe. He has 14 points in the match, 4 rebounds already. And this great crowd here in Townsville have talked the veteran out of the first. 1:52 left on the clock until three-quarter time. That's the sight that presents itself to Crawford, and he misses both. Derek Rucker with 28 points on 10 of 17 shooting from the field. Brings his team forward again. This time he's short on the iron. Kruger came up with a rebound, put it on the floor, and Stewart stripped him of it. Now Rucker joining in, plenty of contacts. Scott Butler right in the vicinity while the referee has called a jump ball. Anthony Stewart can't believe his misfortune. Thought he was fouled, and if he wasn't fouled, thought that he should have at least been awarded possession.
Woo, he was hard done by there. He's got to feel a little bit upset, and he's another one of those players that doesn't complain much, but he was really getting handled on the sideline when he had the basketball, and it's a jump ball.
Derek Rucker wins the tip. In the corner, this is Mitchell-Hill firing, and it's Brad Davidson. His first shot in the match is all net, and they're back to within 4. This is as close as Townsville have been since term number 2. Baseline, Van Dyke retreats to Harkis. Now Stewart. The crowd come to life here in Townsville. Crawford draws a foul on Cameron. It has not been his night. His first personal in the match. They refuse to lie down, Steve.
They sure do. And Jason Cameron, that's the play you have to make. James Crawford is going to be a lot higher than him once he elevates, so he's got to try and dig at the basketball when he's on the ground, and just now they got to hope he misses the free throws. But this is the time that they needed to make the comeback, and they have done that. They've gotten right back into this basketball game. Only problem is for Townsville, Perth have a fully rested Ricky Grace, Andrew Vlahoff, and Todd Lichty. And that's when it counts in the fourth quarter.
Interestingly, Townsville have out-rebounded Perth in this quarter, 9-8, as Crawford makes the second. Ricky Grace standing over near the bench at the moment. He's so reluctant to sit down at all during a match. Even when he's been subbed out, he refuses to get off his feet. This is Rucker. Now Mitchell-Hill this time firing. Yes! He's come hot from three-point territory as well. Again, the lead is back to 3 in favour of Perth. Final 40 seconds or so of term number 3. Lichty. Mitchell-Hill reaches in and swats the ball out of court. Greg Brown, long way from the hoop. Now Lichty. Rucker almost came up with a steal. Now Lichty gets it back, penetrates, reaching in there. Brad Davidson will be called for the foul. His first in the match, to go with his one shot, which produced 3 points for Townsville. Does have the ability to get hot, this young man.
And Lichty comes back into the basketball game for Anthony Stewart, giving him a little bit of a blow. So that is really 4 of their 5 starters that are going to be fresh for the fourth quarter.
Well, the Wildcats have had their problems from the stripe so far in the match. They are 7 of 12 as a team. Townsville 10 of 12. But there you see the equation confronting Townsville. They can slow this down for the final shot of term number 3. For the moment, they trail by 5. Rucker 28, Curl 20 have been the main scoring threats for Townsville. Curl sitting on the bench though at the moment. 2 seconds inside. Cameron, fall away jump shot is short on the iron. The putback tumbles. It's waved away. Roger Shields right in front of the scoring bench waves it away, which brings us to a 3/4 time scoreline that reads the Wildcats 79, Townsville 74. An exciting final quarter coming your way here on Fox.
There's some big clutch shots by the substitutes for Townsville. Kieran Mitchell-Hill hitting a big 3 as well as Brad Davison. They not only did the job offensively, but they really rejuvenated the defense of Townsville, getting out there and pressuring the basketball. They look like a different team out there with fresh people. Also, they give Simon Curl a bit of a blow, and he's going to come out there fresh for the 4th quarter. Now, this is a 5-point game, and I think that Townsville have done all they could possibly do to make this a basketball game. Let's check this. As you can see, the stats are up there, and this has been a Perth Wildcats basketball game, but a pesky Townsville Suns have been able to stay in this basketball game. The Suns have finally missed from the free throw line, 10 of 12 at 83%. And the Perth Wildcats have only had 12 attempts as well. They've only made 7, 58%. I'm sure that percentage will pick up in the 4th quarter when they really need to concentrate and the game's on the line. 3-point shooting, the Suns 10 of 26 for 38. 10 of 22 for the Wildcats at 45. Field goal shooting, still the Wildcats, like we said, will continue to shoot at 50%. You've got to do something extra special to catch them. They're going to go like a well-oiled machine. Out-rebounding the Suns. Turnovers are even, and assists go to the Perth Wildcats. Top scorers, Derek Rucker already has 28. Simon Curl, who's fresh for the 4th quarter, has 20. Chris Sneed with 10. Shane Frawling and Grant Kruger with 4. For the Wildcats, Todd Lichty leads the way for them with 23. James Crawford and Anthony Stewart with 16. Scotty Harkis with 7, and Andrew Vlahoff has 7 as well.
Derek Rucker with 28, his season high is 37. That came against Brisbane back in August. And interestingly there in term number 3, Perth Wildcats were 10 of 17 from the field. Townsville 10 of 19 from the field. Townsville out-rebounded the Wildcats 10-8 in term number 3. So promising signs there. Let's see if they can go on with this. Final quarter underway here at the Furnace, and the Perth Wildcats with a 5-point break as Grace penetrates off the glass too hard, gets his own rebound. Second attempt went missing as well. Sneed came up with the rebound off to Mitchell-Hill and back to Rucker. First score in the final term will get the crowd involved as well. As Rucker fires for 3, he drains it. They are up on their feet here in Townsville. A 2-point ball game. Lichty guarded by Rucker at the moment. Now Grace isolated against Simon Curl. Surveys the options, now wants to retreat away from the defense. Lichty, pass Rucker, confronted by Sneed. Couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke too tall, reaching in over Mitchell-Hill, and Derek Rucker is forced to foul the big man from behind. Rucker's second personal foul.
Well, Lichty's upset that he didn't get to the line initially on that move. People moving sideways under him as he tried to kiss that one off the glass. He still almost made the shot. But this is where Perth just continue to pound Townsville's on the glass. Those second effort shots. Van Dyke, not a great foul shooter, but his presence on the glass, giving the Wildcats multiple tries on those possessions, is really going to key in, would be a big factor.
Van Dyke now with 5 points to go with 12 rebounds, way below his season average of 15 points. Season average of 9 rebounds is good enough for top 10 in the league at the moment. He certainly has enjoyed Townsville's lack of height as Tony D'Ambrosis gets going for the Townsville Suns. They need more of that here in the final term. D'Ambrosis now with just 6 points, but it's a 1-point game. 10:50 left in the contest. Townsville trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. It closed to within one, and that is as close as they have been since the opening quarter here. Grace with the shot clock down into single figures, penetrates, couldn't get it to go. D'Ambrosis has the rebound, and Townsville with an opportunity to put their noses in front for the first time in the match. It's Rucker. Couldn't get it to go. Van Dyke had it. Here comes Chris Sneed. Did well to release the ball as he fell to the floor, and Rucker fires again for three. Townsville are in front for the first time in the match. The home side, much to the delight of the delirious fans, have a 2-point break.
How bad does Derek Rucker want this game? He has hit some huge shots, some long-range bombs. Some players don't have the guts to even take that shot, much less make it.
Here's Van Dyke. Sneed trying to force him away from the hoop, has done it illegally, and Van Dyke is going back to the stripe. Also had a slap for the Croc, the mascot here as well, Van Dyke. Well, not a bad play really, Steve, when you consider that Van Dyke, not the best conveyance from the foul line.
Well, not a bad play if he misses the free throws, but look at the poise of the Wildcats. They've got this entire building against them. Derek Rucker hitting the shots that he's capable of hitting down the crunch, but those are tough shots. But Perth continues to go to the inside. They continue to get high percentage shots.
Well, Van Dyke ties the ball game away. 9:50 left on the clock. Derek Rucker, 34 points, a game high for him. 7 of 10 from three-point territory. But they've coughed the ball up. Here's Harkes with support from Lichty, confronted by Mitchell Hill. Plenty of contact, no whistle. Harkes goes back to the well. The points count. And the foul has been called on Townsville as well. And look at the intensity of the bench players from Perth as well.
Well, everybody had the feeling this was going to be a close game. Well, especially the Townsville crowd were hoping it was going to be a close game, because you didn't get the feeling that Townsville was going to have the ability to blow Perth out. The Wildcats had the ability to do that. It's either going to be a Perth blowout or a close one, and goodness for us, it's a close one.
Wildcats get themselves back in front. A 3-point ball game. 9:27 left in the contest. Sneed back to Curl. This is Mitchell Hill firing for three. Yes, he drains it. Mitchell Hill now 2 of 5 from downtown. 9 points in the match for him, and we have a tied ball game. Grace works to the left-hand side, then dishes the ball back in the vicinity of Lichty, guarded by Curl. Harkes working against Mitchell Hill. Now Van Dyke down low, pulls up for the jumper. Couldn't get it to go. Curl comes up with a rebound and hands off to Derek Rucker. Cool head from Derek Rucker. This is D'Ambrosis. Penetrates. Now Curl. He's only scored 2 points here in the second half after having a game-high 18 at the main break. He needs to get hot as well if Townsville are going to win this match. Grace with his problems to Harkes, who's wide open. He pulls the trigger and drains three. Oh, a big bomb from Scott Harkes, who just gets better as this season progresses. He now has 13 points and 4 rebounds off the bench. 2 of 3 from beyond the perimeter, becoming a factor. Oh, what a dunk. An excellent play from Rucker as he feeds Chris Sneed. And that's a big 2 for Townsville. Here's Vlahoff, back to Grace. Corralled, he goes back to the skipper. Did a lap of honor, wouldn't fall. Mitchell Hill releases Derek Rucker. Off and running, Sneed up the floor, wants it early. Rucker penetrating. Gets Grace in the air, then turns the shot down and back to Simon Curl. They trail by a single point. 7.5 minutes left here. Curl past Lichty, confronted by Van Dyke, needs support. Here's Rucker, now inside D'Ambrosis. against 2. Van Dijk slaps it away and Vlahoff came up with it. Lichty reels it in with Mitchell Hill to beat. He drains 2 more. Todd Lichty now with 25 points in the match, and only Rucker with 34 has more.
Well, D'Ambrosio had to shoot that shot. If he tried to pass it, it would have been a 3-second violation. And the Wildcats, with some good defense, got the block and then got the score on the other end.
Rucker. Now to Mitchell Hill. Now Curl joining in against Lichty. Penetrates. Here's D'Ambrosio from close range. He gets Townsville back to within a single point. Tick over 6.5 minutes left here. Vlahoff, top of the key. Certainly has been a quiet game by his high standards. Vlahoff has only 7 points in the match and 5 rebounds. His season average is 15 points, 8 rebounds. Here he is down low, getting plenty of attention, and Tony D'Ambrosio thought he got a lot of ball there, but he is called for the foul, and that will be number 4 on Tony D.
Well, Perth taking the basketball inside again to their strong man, Andrew Vlahoff, but Townsville have done a good job at penetrating and finding the open men for closer shots. As you see here, that is as close as you get. Chris Sneed getting to the open area as Derek Ruckers made a nice spin dribble to get into the key to deliver that pass.
Crowd trying to influence foul shooting from Andrew Vlahoff, but the skipper equal to the challenge on the first. Lead out to 2. 6:28 left on the clock. Vlahoff comes good as well, and now sits down as James Crawford checks into the game. Wildcats with 4 starters and Crawford. At the moment, the Townsville Suns are going with just 2 of their starters. This man, Derek Rucker, and Jason Cameron. This is Froling down on the baseline. Back to Rucker. He is the danger man as far as Perth are concerned. Mitchell Hill pulls the trigger. Hard on the iron. Grace comes up with the rebound. Less than 6 minutes out from full time. Perth by 3 with possession. This is Lichty. Cameron all over him. Now Van Dijk with a huge height advantage against Kruger. Did a good job there to intimidate the big man. Back to Grace. 6 seconds on the shot clock. He penetrates. Worried out of the point. Stewart tried to tip in. Didn't work. Rucker's got it now. Support on both wings up the floor. Pulls up for the jump shot. Banks 2 off the glass. 36 points now for Derek Rucker. He has Townsville back to within a single point. 5.5 minutes out from full time.
Well, I don't think anyone would be surprised that Derek Rucker would have probably a season high in the most important game of his Townsville career.
Resumes his battle with Ricky Grace here now. Down low, Crawford spinning on Shane Froling. The jump shot from JC is all net. 18 points off the bench for Crawford. Lead back to 3. Rucker showing some tricks to Grace and Crawford at the top of the keys. Got it back, pulling the trigger for 3 more. Hard on the iron. Stewart came up with the rebound. Under good pressure from Froling. Releases Lichty up the floor. Has time on his side, the Wildcats. A 3-point edge. 4.5 minutes left. Perth have led at every change as Crawford pushes Kruger to the floor. No whistle. Now Stewart. Shot clock down to 7. Guarded by Mitchell Hill. Inside they go. Van Dijk back to Crawford. He drains 2 more. Becoming a factor here. Crawford now has 20 points in the match. 15 have come in the second half. It's a 5-point lead to the Perth Wildcats. 4:22 left in the contest.
Well, I tell you what, I am going to stop asking him when he's going to retire. He is just like Leroy Loggins. I'm not going to say he's at the same level, but he is in the same ballpark. He continues to want and make those big shots. In crucial situations, when they won the grand final over North Melbourne, it was James Crawford having a big game. James Crawford just continues to look excellent in his late years.
20 points on 8 of 14 shooting from the field, 4 rebounds as well. Ricky Grace has only scored 2 points in this match. 1 of 12 from the field, Ricky Grace. but he does have 4 assists and 7 rebounds as well. Coming into this season, Ricky Grace, his best rebounding performance was 16 in a game, which may surprise some people, me included. But they have such a versatile team, the Wildcats, that Ricky Grace, well, when they needed points, he provided them against North Melbourne last week. When they have other scorers, in this case Crawford is doing a great job. Lichty has 25, Stewart 16 in the first half. He's prepared to do the other things. The ultimate team man, Ricky Grace.
Well, that's why they have so many championships. While he has been a Perth Wildcat, he just does what he has to do on the night, and that's probably why he doesn't get some of the credit that he deserves. He's willing to let some of the other guys have the headlines if they're doing the job, but when they need him, he's always there.
Here's Curl. Now Froling showing Crawford the ball, puts it on the deck, comes up with 2 and draws a foul, a suggestion of travel. Get confirmation here. Mike Reese, the referee, is confusing me a little with a couple of his hand signals.
Well, didn't he say the shot was good at first?
And now he's waved it away. Well, crowd don't like it. Confused me. Steve Carfino a little flummoxed himself.
Well, the crowd should be happy that he didn't call a walk.
Here's Sneed working against Van Dyke on the baseline. No room for the shot. He has to retreat. Simon Curl. He'll try his luck again. The hook shot from Sneed is all net. Back to a 2-point ball game. In fact, 3-point ball game it is. 3:40 left in the contest. Crawford. Now Grace, guarded by Simon Curl. Well, be patient. This is Stewart. Has not scored in the second half, Anthony Stewart. Had 8 points in the first quarter, 8 in the second, and none since. This is Crawford. Pulls the trigger with 1 second on the shot clock. The user-friendly roll almost. Anthony Stewart got a whack in the face as well. He is in some trouble. And Curl up the floor. Works the ball to Sneed. There's Van Dyke slapping it out of his hands. And intelligently, Lichty works the ball to Crawford, who unfortunately for Perth had a foot on the baseline. And Townsville will come up with possession. They trail by 3. 3 minutes and 5 seconds left here at the Furnace. Oh, what a past month it's been on Fox Sports with close games all over the place, including that thriller in Brisbane last Friday night. Bad inbound pass, and Townsville are going to turn the ball over. That will be their 11th turnover. Perth have 10 as a team. And just a mistake that Townsville cannot afford if they're going to win this game and prolong their hopes of a spot in the playoffs. Derek Rucker working against Anthony Stewart, almost forced a turnover, has drawn a foul on Stewart, so they will get possession. That will be Stewart's 3rd personal.
Well, that's a good play by Stewart, because if he doesn't make that foul, Derek Rucker goes in there for a score. The crowd goes nuts, and plus they get the basketball on the side.
What a match Rucker has had. 36 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 of 11 from 3-point territory as Curl fires. Overshot the ball. Lichty has it. Froling and Cameron all over him. Van Dyke relieves some pressure and goes to Stewart. That's a Ricky Grace. 2:40 left in the contest. Perth by 3. They've led at every change. Townsville have not been in front apart from earlier here in term number 4. They had a 2-point break at one stage. This is Lichty. Pass to Crawford was a little wayward, but JC equal to the challenge. He reels it in with a shot clock about to expire. Hard on the iron, has his own rebound. Now he's lost it, trying to get the ball to Van Dyke, but no room for the pass. Look at the Wildcats bench in the background. Vlahoff, the skipper, up. Van der Putten, Phil Doherty, and Nick Lakovic, who made the trip but isn't playing here, all on their feet as Crawford penetrates again. Van Dyke was his intended target, but Shane Froling slaps it out of court. 13 seconds on the shot clock for Perth. This is Grace against Simon Curl. He retreats. The shot clock is now into single figures. Grace works to his preferred left-hand side. Has lost the handle. It spills out of court. Townsville will get possession. 1:52 left in the game. Well, what a finish. Townsville. A loss in their season is over. A win. And they live at least another 24 hours. Oh, big foul off the ball. Stewart pushed Frolling over. And obviously, Stewart, who has been the subject of quite a deal of treatment himself, is getting a little frustrated. That was his fourth foul. It was almost worth 2.
Yeah, it was a pretty heavy foul, but he had to believe that Simon Curl was going to shoot that one. Ran through the screen. Now they get the basketball on the side instead of a big three-point shot by Simon Curl.
Pass intended for Sneed was cut out by Van Dyke. Good idea, poor execution, particularly when you only have 90 seconds left in the game.
Not the play you want to have. It's a low percentage play at this point in the basketball game.
Ricky Grace, top of the key. This is Stewart. Looking for Van Dyke. He reels it in, goes back to Grace. The key opens up for him. The dish to Crawford and the slam dunk for 2 more. 5-point break now for Perth. 70 seconds remaining. Starting to become a tough equation for the Townsville Suns. Rucker, his 3-point bomb unsuccessful. Stewart gets the rebound. And now they're going to have to pressure Perth. And Rucker is up there working against Ricky Grace, 2 of the best ball handlers in the NBL. Now Crawford. Well, Perth scored the first 5 points of the match, and here with 40 seconds left, that's what they lead by as Grace penetrates unsuccessfully. Got too close to the hoop. Curl, Rucker, inside, Sneed for the dunk. Oh, the crowd are up here. It's not over yet. A 3-point game in favour of Perth. 33 seconds left. Timeout has been called by the Perth Wildcats. 30 seconds exactly on the clock. 98-95 in favour of Perth.
Well, Ricky Grace felt like he was fouled on that drive where he went up with his right hand, but those aren't the type of calls you get when you're away and the away team and the home team is down, so he doesn't get that call. And now Townsville in a position to do something after that big play on a nice pass from Derek Rucker. Now, there's only 3 seconds between the shot clock and the game clock, so Townsville can really run it down. 3 seconds to get a good shot off after they run it all the way down is really not a good position to be in. I think they may have to foul and try and score and then try it again. But they definitely have to try and get some type of defensive pressure, get a steal maybe early in the piece, or just foul, because if Perth runs it all the way down, it's going to be difficult for them to go the length of the court and get a decent shot off to tie the game.
The Townsville Suns in their 5th year in the NBL, yet to see postseason play. And it is looking a little grim for them here, but they have 30 seconds left on the clock. And Perth with possession.
And that's what they do. They foul right away. Ricky Grace will go to the line. They're going to hope that he misses at least one. And they've got enough time to go down there and get a 2 or 3. If he misses them both, they go for a 2. If he misses just one, they need 2 scores no matter what if he hits one.
81% from the stripe this year coming into the match, Steve. He nailed a couple of pressure free throws against the Giants on Wednesday night to help Perth over the line. And he is a study in concentration, Ricky Grace. 3 points in the match, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and the lead is out to 5 again. Perth have 100. This is Cameron, yet to score in the match, and again he comes up empty. Van Dyke has it, they need to foul, and Simon Curl obliges, although Sneed and Frolling were in the vicinity as well. And in fact, the foul is on Chris Sneed. That will be his 4th personal.
Well executed play to get the 3 off. Derek Rucker, I'm sure, was a top candidate to shoot that 3, but They used him as the decoy and popped it over to Jason Cameron, who's a very good three-point shooter on the other end of the floor. He got a good one off, he just didn't get it to go.
Well, it's looking a little grim for the Townsville Suns, and one has to feel some sympathy for them. They have lost their last 5 games with the absence of Clarence Tyson. 3 of those games have been by 1 shot. Another game was a 6-point loss. That was to Brisbane. And the only real defeat was an 18-point loss to the rampaging Melbourne Tigers. So their season at one stage was looking 14-10. They knew they only needed 2 more to win it. Clarence Tyson goes down with a major knee injury in Canberra. They play a couple of games without an import. Chris Sneed came in for the last 3 games, and they've been so close. 3 of those games just a single shot. What a difference a few seconds here or there can make to a season, and it would appear that it's going to end here for the Townsville Suns.
Well, they've just been lacking personnel in those losses. Some key players out, like you said. And they have gotten better every single year. And you can't say that about too many teams in this competition, especially a team as young as the Townsville Suns, and their day will come. They've got a great franchise up here, and these players have competed.
Cameron off and running. Townsville trail by 6. This is Curl. Back to Cameron. Mitchell Hill will pull the trigger for 3. Yes, he buries it. It isn't over yet. 3-point ball game, 10 seconds left. They will foul Crawford, and he will go to the stripe, and Crawford 4 of 7 from the foul line so far in the match. 8.8 seconds remain. Perth lead by 3 with Crawford to try and add another 2.
Well, you have to make your free throws to win close games. It's as simple as that. Ricky Grace knocked them down and put Townsville in a dismal position, but James Crawford must hit one of these free throws. It's as simple as that. And that's not the one.
Tried to talk it in with some body language. 22 points off the bench. Only Lichty with 25 has more for Perth. And listen to the raucous crowd here in Townsville, giving it everything. They can't prevent him from scoring, however, a 4-point break. Rucker will bring the ball forward for Townsville. Pass is to Mitchell Hill. He fires for 3. It's a pass to Cameron. His first score in the match with half a second remaining. A 2-point ball game. Stewart. And there is the siren. The Perth Wildcats have prevailed here by 2 points. And that is the end of the road for the Townsville Suns. They certainly were brave in defeat and have put on a very good season for their home fans here, where they finish with a 9-6 record at home, a 5-10 record on the road, and they are going to fall just 1 win short of reaching the playoffs. Mark Bragg there, the coach, shaking hands with James Crawford, who had an exceptional match. And this is a good moment here from the Perth Wildcats players as they leave the arena applauding the crowd and the Townsville Suns. It's been a great season for them, but ultimately one that slipped away. There's the full-time statistics for you, and as you can see, reasonably good numbers all over the place from the field. Townsville outshoots Wildcats by a single percentage point. 38% from three-point territory, one their season average, which is best in the league from beyond the arc, and also 47 from Perth helped them over the line. The rebound count heavily weighted in favour of the Wildcats as well. And turnovers kept to a minimum by both teams. Top scorers in the match, Derek Rucker, another phenomenal performance, 36 points. Simon Curl had 20, Sneed 16. Lichty led the Wildcats with 25. Crawford had 23 and 5 rebounds, and he is with Steve Carfino.
Well, James, that was a crucial game. You knew the crowd was going to be into it. Townsville in a desperate situation, but you guys fought off every effort that they had in a huge win.
Yeah, it was. It was a big effort for us. And also, a few games ago, we got beat here by Townsville. And tonight, with Rucker playing the way he did and the kind of atmosphere you get from the Furnace, it was great. We need this win going into the playoffs.
Your form hasn't been fantastic in recent, like you just said, but this was a very tough match, and you guys played extremely well from the very beginning.
See, we always feel we can win the championship, and we won the last 2 games. And the only thing we need to do is win the first and the quarters, and we just continue on from there. Hopefully this will be the first roll into what we hope will be a very good year.
And how you feeling? You came off the bench for 23 points. Excellent effort. You came in for Andrew Vlahoff. Sitting Andrew Vlahoff, your captain, down. You must be playing pretty good.
Yes, my role is whatever the team needs. I'll come off. If they want me to start, want me to come off the bench, I know my ability. I can do anything. I can rebound, I can block shots, and I can score. So as long as I feel that way, it's just a basketball game, and I love it.
Well, you got to give some credit to the Townsville Suns and their organization. They've just fallen short of the playoffs, but they've done a phenomenal job this year.
Without a doubt, the Townsville Suns would have been in the playoff if Clarence Tyson wouldn't have got hurt. They was in great form, and they was playing against a team that was below them on the table. So it was really bad luck for them. But the organization is first class. It's a credit to the NBL.
The Perth Wildcats, everybody healthy going into the playoffs. I'm sure you guys are a team to reckon with.
We looked at the game we played against the Maryland Tigers there at home, a very hard game, and we lost about like 4 points, but it shows the kind of form that we're in playing against the Tigers, because they definitely, in my view, are the team to beat.
Well, excellent game for television. Good luck in the playoffs, and I'm sure we'll see you then.
All right, Steve, we'll see you later. Thanks.
And the action continues here on Fox. Tomorrow night, the Canberra Cannons are still in the playoff race, and they entertain the Sydney Kings. If the Cannons can win, they will just about get a spot in the finals, and a lot to play for tomorrow night here on Fox. That just about wraps it up from the furnace here. The Townsville Suns remaining on the floor. Derek Rucker, their captain, addressing the home fans here. Their 67th consecutive sellout, and while they bow out of the playoff race, they certainly have been brave this year and have won a lot of respect around the league. Maybe 1998 will be the year of the Townsville Suns. The Perth Wildcats finished the minor round with a 17-13 record. That may be enough to get them home playoff in the quarterfinals, but still plenty more to come. Hope you enjoyed our coverage and can join us again tomorrow night. For now, though, on behalf of all the team, including my co-commentator Steve Carfino, this is John Casey bidding you farewell from Townsville.
This has been a Fox Sports production.